right, let's welcome everybody out to episode 69 of Utah in the Weeds. I'm Chris Hollifield.
69, Chris. Tim Pickett with UtahMarijuana.org, and I'm excited. This was a fascinating interview. I mean, I remember sitting here talking to Chase. Chase Hudson is the person we're talking to today, and just the level of insight into like your own personal experience with cannabis and other medications that are like this, that are strong. Man, I think people are really going to get a kick out of this one. Plus they're going to learn something. Like, this is kind of an introspective.
Yeah. Learn about,
episode.
Hemplucid, learn about his journey of getting to, creating this business. I mean, it's a fascinating story of how he got here.
And he's been involved, all the way through when CBD oil was really expensive and everybody was making money, to the market crash in CBD, and then, how to recover from that, plus Delta 8, Delta 9, we talk about. His experience is broad, and he's been in this thing a long time.
It's a good story, though. You'll learn a lot about the plant in this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
UtahMarijuana.org/podcast. That's where you can go listen to all the podcast episodes. They're up online. You can listen to them right there. Share them with your family and friends.
Yeah, and subscribe in any podcast app that you use. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at UtahMarijuana.org at the bottom, and then you'll stay up to date on everything that's happening in the Utah, cannabis space, medical marijuana space. Stay up to date with all the podcast episodes.
Sounds good.
There you go.
Let's get into that conversation with Chase Hudson, the CEO of Hemplucid. This is a good one, you guys. Enjoy. Now, you're the CEO of Hemplucid, or what is your title with Hemplucid?
Yep, CEO and founder.
CEO and founder. Okay, you're
nice.
You're the man. You're the big dog.
Yeah. How'd that start?
Oh man, started. Well, let's see, I don't know how far back I want to go. I'll just start with the initial, but I've started it with three of my other really good friends, Talon, Nate, and Saren. And I just got out of the fire industry. So that's my background.
Like a fireman, like a firefighter?
Yep.
Okay.
I did that for about 8 years. Graduated with my bachelor's in emergency management, fire science. So did that for 8 years, and then just decided it was really, I had a call that just kind of fractured my mind as far as like, I have a bigger purpose. Like the amount of suffering that was going on in the world and what I was seeing it's just like, no, I realized I was a spoke in the wheel. And I wasn't.
This was like a fire call, like an emergency medicine call.
Yep. Yeah. Well, she was a cancer patient. I remember when I picked her up, it was just like a general assist, but I picked her up and she weighed probably 80 pounds and she was just all skin and bone. And I put her on the stretcher, and then I went back into the room and got all of her meds, and her daughter handed me 2 Walmart bags full of prescription pills, and she was taking about 50 pills a day. And I was like, okay, something is so wrong with our system that we have this lady who weighs 80 pounds taking 50 pharmaceuticals a day, and she's just wasting away in her home. And that was the moment that I'm like, okay, I have a bigger purpose. I've always liked helping people. It's just just ever since I can remember, just community-based person. And so after that call, I was in New Mexico at the time, came back to Utah and did a couple more years of Wildland Fire. And Nate, one of our other founders, we started selling CBD oil for CV Science and some of the other big players. We were selling on eBay, Amazon. We were trying to get up on Etsy, and we did that for a few months. And then all of a sudden, overnight, the government kind of put out the word and killed all third-party CBD selling online. So at that point, we were getting good traction. People were buying quite a bit of product from us, but it was very early in the industry where the quality of the product wasn't very good. It was very waxy, very sticky.
Because you feel like the quality of the product in general has gotten better?
Way better.
Is that because you can find better product? Like you can find the certificate of analysis on products now? Because I asked that question because I wonder if, I still think you can find crappy products.
Definitely.
Out there, right?
Definitely.
But it's definitely easier. Your point is it's easier to find good products now.
It's easier, I would say, if you know what you're looking for. In the beginning, the oil is very waxy, so your body can't break down wax. So you're just passing through CBD waxy material. So when that crackdown happened, the guy that I was actually selling for, he called me and he's like, hey, there's a dude in Utah selling CBD. Go see what that's about. So I went over to this guy and his company, and they were selling CBD. And long story short, but I ended up working with him for about a year, just kind of understanding the CBD industry and educating myself, traveling a lot. And then it started to pick up. We nailed some local accounts. So I picked up Good Earth and Sure Lens, and we started to gain some traction. And then I separated from this guy and his company, and I went and started Hemplucid with me, Nate, Talon, and Saren. So it was a really cool progression how it worked. I brought Saren on first. She was doing our customer service, and then I brought Talon on, and she was doing our accounting and like wholesale and distribution. And then we brought Nate on to do shipping and fulfillment. And then we all found a small little office in Orem about this size. And we all worked out of there for about a year. And then things just exploded. And we're going on our 6 year of business now.
That's awesome. And where are you located?
Right now we're down in the Riverwoods.
In the Riverwoods.
So Provo,
right there. Mm-hmm. Right in Utah County. Right in your back door, people.
Yeah.
Who would guess that? In Utah County of all places too.
It's still surprising to people.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, you're in Provo? It's like, yeah, we're in Provo.
How big? So Hemplucid sells primarily, you sell all over the country?
All over the country. We used to do a lot of international, but the international market started to kind of clamp down on the CBD industry. So we have a couple international accounts still, but it's a small portion of our business, but it's all mostly domestic, all 50 states. We have product in all 50 states.
What kind, do you run into more or less challenges being in Utah in general? Does that matter what state you're in when you're running a hemp company in Utah, or not in Utah, in the United States in general? Utah, you would think you'd run into more challenges.
So that's kind of what we thought.
Okay.
But it's actually been fairly easy. The biggest issues have faced is not so much anymore, but in the beginning was banking and merchant accounts. So banks would just call you and be like, oh, we're closing your account in a week. It's like, oh, all right. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And just no reason. Merchant accounts. Oh, we just shut off your revenue, basically your revenue stream on your website. You got to go find another merchant account. So that in the beginning was just an absolute nightmare. But it's actually been very well received in Utah. It's actually surprising. Still is surprising.
On like a government level or on like just a public level?
Public consumer level.
Okay.
But then also, the hemp program in Utah is fairly new. It's just a couple of years. I think they've set it up pretty good. It feels like over this last year, with the medical marijuana program getting going here, that there's appears to be some fighting between the medical marijuana industry and the hemp industry. And there's just kind of some political weirdness on the back end where like trying to stop certain laws. This Delta 8 thing is a good example of kind of the medical marijuana industry lobbying against the hemp industry.
Right.
So the medical marijuana, they're lobbying against the hemp industry?
I mean, I would say yes. I would
Really?
agree with that too. Right?
What is
we
it?
talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but I've got, I mean, you've got some Delta 8 products. Hemplucid has some Delta 8 products, and these are products that under the, I think it's the Farm Bill Act or something like that. It specifies Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol may not be, distributed without the medical. So it specifies that it's Delta 9.
Correct.
And so under national rules, Delta 8 is totally allowed.
Correct.
And in the medical market, especially here in Utah, well, not especially, but like in New York, they banned Delta 8. And so what does the hemp side of the world think of that? What does the CBD side?
It's actually really unfortunate because businesses are being destroyed by it, the banning of Delta 8. So it's actually, it's pretty upsetting and it's very unfortunate, but we had COVID, that pretty much shut down and killed a lot of businesses. And then, we're coming out of COVID. People really got on the Delta 8 train, CBD sales, the market has become very saturated. CBD sales have slowed down. So a lot of these stores, they transitioned, some 90% of their inventory over to Delta 8. So Delta 8 was carrying and saving a ton of businesses across the country. And as these states have been pressured by, in my opinion, lobbyists from the medical marijuana side, as states have been pressured and laws have been passed and they're taking Delta 8 out of the general public, preventing these stores from selling it, we talk to companies every day that they don't think they're going to keep their doors open for much longer because they're in states that the government has decided to ban Delta 8 products.
And New York is one that I mentioned. What are the others?
Oh man, New York, Nevada, Colorado.
Wait, Nevada? I thought Nevada was full rec there. So why would they ban Delta 8?
Because Delta 8 is taking away sales from the medical cannabis stores. So that's what's happening.
Okay.
So basically they're saying the argument here in Utah that I've heard is that Delta 8, because it is a psychoactive compound in the THC world, right? There's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You're going to take THC, anything with any THC in it, and we're going to put that only in the dispensaries and in here, the medical cannabis pharmacies. And that's the argument, right? That we need to regulate it as if it is just like Delta 9. So and you're talking about like hemp shops, CBD shops. I mean, these, right? I mean, of course they would go towards Delta 8. This is a product you can feel.
Delta 8 is an awesome product. And some of the feedback we've been getting is people actually like it more than Delta 9. Why
do people say that?
Because it's not as heady. Like you're not higher up in the clouds, you can say.
Yep.
The Delta,
because it's not a CB1 receptor.
That's
molecule.
my favorite place to be, though.
I know, right? Right. So, I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that we've ended up back here on Delta 8. It seems like we talk about it all the time.
Why not? It's a hot topic.
But it is. And I've always been talking about it from the medical side and not from the hemp side. So it's nice to hear, somebody else's opinion about, well, geez, now you're taking away my livelihood. Your argument is probably that it's just as safe. But they're making it, right? They're making it out of CBD oil or hemp oil.
Correct. It's derived from hemp.
And it's converted using strong acid. So do you guys make some Delta 8 products?
Yes, but we're a vertically integrated company except the farm and the extraction. So we do all of our own manufacturing, shipping, fulfillment. But as far as ordering raw materials, whether that's CBD, Delta 8, CBN, we have farming partners in Colorado, and other states, but our main farming partners in Colorado, and we've been with those guys since the very beginning. Six years now, going on 6 years.
And so they're deriving it, putting it in a bottle or a bucket and delivering it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so let's stop there. How can you get out of state product, but our in-state places like Heal You has to get
product from in-state?
In-state. How do you get out of state product?
That a difference between medical and like THC content? Everything that you buy is...
Yep. So Utah, you have to register. It's part of the registration process.
Yeah.
So that allows the commerce of bulk raw materials.
All of the stuff you bring in, though, under 0.3%.
Correct.
Delta 9 THC?
Delta 9, yep.
Now, why wouldn't you get hemp from hemp farmers here in Utah?
We've looked at it. One thing that we went after in the very beginning was the genetics.
Mm-hmm.
So the genetics of the hemp. And that's really the foundation, like one of the main foundational components of Hemplucid is genetics, single sourced from clones. So the genetics we use are a hybrid between a medical marijuana genetic and a hemp genetic. And this family has been working on this family lineage of genetics over 10 years.
Okay.
So it has a very robust terpene profile, cannabinoid profile, secondary, cannabinoids, minors. And we feel like it's one of the best CBD oils on the market because it is grown from a specific genetic family, single source. I'm not sourcing from multiple different farms. So the genetics matter, and a lot of people are just growing kind of the cherries and, the CBGs. And I mean, it's good. It all has a place, but we kind of went to another level of quality or understanding of, the products that we're putting out to the public.
It was years ago that I actually discovered your products. I mean, I was living downtown still at the time, so this was easily 3 or 4 years ago. And I remember I tried tons of different CBD products. And when I discovered yours, it was like you could actually feel it working, right? Like I was like, wow, this stuff is top shelf, good quality stuff. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's good stuff. And I want to say it's actually probably I think there's a water soluble one there in front of you.
Yeah, this water soluble, it's in a red box.
CBD one that I ever tried.
1,500 milligrams.
And then you have like some vaping CBD ones too that I got into a little bit later because I used to vape nicotine and I don't do that. But I was like, well, maybe I could vape some CBD and that is top-notch stuff too. Cool. So,
and that does, I mean, when you talk about medical marijuana, you're talking about strains, right? I mean, people are really into strains. They're into genetics. I mean, it's all about craft grade flower that you're making, that you're smoking or that you're inhaling. When it comes to even medical marijuana products, that are made into tinctures and things like that, then the grade of flower is going to be typically lower. But if we were using that good genetics, I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're using good genetics and you're making your oil out of it, then your oil is going to be better. So are your products more expensive necessarily than the average because of that?
We're probably right in the middle, actually. There's been a lot of price fluctuation in the market over the last year and a half, but we're positioned as a top tier brand with competitive pricing. It's been interesting over the last year to watch the supplement industry try to get involved with CBD. So the big supplement brands, that are selling vitamin C and,
What, they're adding like hemp to vitamin C now?
No, but those companies. Oh,
I was going to say.
But the supplement industry took off during COVID, right? Like, yes. I mean, because everybody wants to get healthy. Shelf.
Tremendous. Yeah. It was all about immune last year. Support the immune system. But these companies then started to spin off, CBD gel caps and tinctures. And it's funny to watch because a lot of these products are now being clearanced off shelves because, again, it comes down to the effectiveness of the product. You know, if you're a big company and you see all these other smaller companies killing it in CBD, you want to get involved. You don't understand the industry, and it all just comes down to price. You know, at the end of the day, these publicly traded companies, they have shareholders, and it's all about the bottom line. And kind of what we've seen in the CBD industry, when you're motivated by the bottom line, you start to make quality mistakes, and you start sourcing the cheapest product you can find. And the main focus isn't about the quality and the effectiveness of the product. It's, you know, the bottom line. And so a lot of these companies have sourced very cheap, low quality oils and isolate. And some of these products just don't work for people.
I think you bring up this makes me start thinking about when the rules change federally for the medical marijuana market or the THC market too, because these bigger companies are going to want to buy up. I mean, they have scale, right? Scale in distribution. And imagine now you've got to buy product for a 50 state, you know, product line. You're going to launch a product line in all 50 states. I mean, Hemplucid's not near big enough to do that to that scale, right? You're buying essentially, in their eyes, you're a super small company, but you've been able to source good product. And in every 50 states or 37 states that have medical marijuana programs, I mean, there's 37 different growers. They're all relatively small compared to what Pfizer would need to put a product on the shelf, right?
Totally.
So when things get better from a adult use THC standpoint, we're going to find the same thing. There's going to be a glut of products. Half of them aren't going to work. Right. They're not going to be no good. And then boom, the products like Hemplucid and the products that are local, semi-locally sourced or sourced from good genetics, these products will still remain and probably dominate. Is that what you're hoping with Hemplucid? Did I basically just like give give away the end of the story?
No. No. I mean, that's what's playing out. I mean, there's definitely going to be consolidation, I think, on both sides. You know, if the feds come out and, you know, it's free reign, then I think you see big pharma coming in and just consolidating the whole industry and, you know, buy up certain growers and manufacturers in certain states. And I mean, there's probably a whole plan being orchestrated right now. I'm sure, knowing kind of how government works.
Sure. What's the plan, Tim? You seems like you know. You got the heads
I mean,
up.
I just feel like I know that Pfizer's looking at companies, right? They're buying up. I've heard rumor that they're buying up excess CBG in the market, you know, to start developing products and testing. And, you know, I know there's big cannabis companies that are essentially just positioning themselves for acquisition. And I don't know how small that goes, right? Like, that's the thing. I don't have a broad view. Like, my focus is really here in Utah with the medical market. But, you know, you can see companies here that would be pretty good in a few years. They're going to be pretty good to buy, right? They're going to have a nice little market share, a nice little access to the consumer. And it would be a perfect acquisition for a major company to come in, be like, oh, well, that's just perfect. We can add our products to that line. So I want to switch gears and ask you about your personal relationship to cannabis.
Cool.
Right? How did that all start?
That all started, so through high school, you know, I had friends who were into cannabis. I was never really into it up until really I moved to Utah for school. So moved to Utah.
From where? Where did you move from?
Colorado.
Okay.
So born and raised in Colorado. Came out to Utah for school because Utah Valley had one of the top fire programs in the country. So I was part of a junior firefighter program in Colorado Springs, and they're like, hey, we want to hire you, but go get your degree, because if you ever want to promote, it's easier just to have it done before you get hired. So came to Utah, moved in, did the student housing thing for a minute, and then met a group of guys who a majority of them now work for the company. That's actually like kind of a cool story. But these guys, I moved in with them, and they were all cannabis users. And I started to get a little bit more involved with it. And I remember multiple times sitting on Nate's futon, just sitting there thinking, why is it illegal to feel this way? This doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why is it illegal that I can't feel this good? And like my mind is clear and, you know, my pains are gone. Like, so that was really my first awakening to kind of plant medicine and cannabis in general. And then started to really dive into the science side of it. Like, oh, the endocannabinoid system, what's that? I was never taught that in school, or my doctors don't know about it. Like, what is this system that's in every mammal? And started really getting into that, understanding the cannabinoid system and how it works. And it started to occur to me like, okay, I've been lied to and manipulated, because one of the most important parts of our just human vehicle, the cannabinoid system, I didn't know nothing about, and none of my friends knew anything about it. So that was kind of the start. And then started taking CBD, started noticing just unbelievable changes within my own body. I think one of the coolest things was my mind, like how it started to really work on my mind, my thinking, the way I was processing things, what I was, it was like, I like to tell people, I think CBD is one of the most powerful psychedelics, but it's not really in the psychedelic category. You know, when you think psychedelics, you're thinking DMT, LSD, mushrooms, research chemicals. But CBD, one thing that CBD does, and that I've noticed with not only myself, but with people, is that it starts to unlock the mind, and it starts to connect the mind to the body. And we, in our society, in our culture, people are so disconnected from their mind and their body. And I would go and I loved it. I mean, I'll still do it to this day, but I'll go and do demos at stores or work events. And it's really cool to watch this mind to body connection that people have, where, let's say, you know, somebody in pain or an elderly person comes into the store and, you know, they're like, I got shoulder pain or I got some issue, and they take a sample, and in 5 minutes, all of a sudden they start thinking, and they're like, oh, that, man, I just took this product and like my pain's gone, you know, like, what is that about? So all of a sudden, from their point of view, you know, submerged in culture, doctors are the ultimate authority. All these people are on prescription pills, but they just tried some holistic product in a health food store, and their pain is gone for the first time ever. And so now it starts this process of thinking of, okay, what else is out there that can work? And so I'm a huge fan of cannabis. I love CBD. I think we're at the very start of just a complete medical revolution in the way that we prescribe medications to people. You know, over 100 different cannabinoids. They all have a different impact on our body. And I think we're seeing this with Delta 8. Like, Delta 8 seems to be the first cannabinoid out of the gate that actually has gained a tremendous amount of traction. I mean, there's CBG, there's CBN, but Delta 8 is, you know, it's a cannabinoid that has a specific impact on people's body. And so I'm so excited for the future of cannabis and the way that we treat people with their medical problems.
Yeah, you would think that with, I can totally see how Delta 8 has kind of leapfrogged over CBG and CBN,
Yep.
which were really popular in the conversation, or they were like up and coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's still room for all of that, but it's starting a bigger conversation about, okay, what do we do next?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We know Delta 9, we're going to deal with that. We know how we're going to kind of deal with that now with tight regulations. We know it's not as bad as heroin,
mm-hmm.
like the federal government says, but we know there's going to be states that are always going to be medical. There's probably going to be states who go adult use.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of getting to that point now where people seem to be on board with that eventuality for the Delta 9 piece.
Yep.
The Delta 8 piece opens up everything else. Like what do we do if we find now we can make Delta 12
Right.
and these things they feel a certain way. What are we going to do with the regulation when we come out with a new product, or when we decide, you know what, if you took 200 milligrams of CBN, you're just asleep.
Right.
Like, what do we do when we figure that out? So I think you're like with Hemplucid, you almost have a better vantage point because in the medical market, we're only focused on one thing.
Right.
Right. I mean, how high do you get? How not high do you get?
Right.
How does Delta 9 affect your medical condition? And I don't mean to make light of it. It's very important. It's
Absolutely.
what I do for a living.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But I guess I'm just making a point.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. That is the future is, I believe it's the future, but individual cannabinoid ratios for specific ailments that people have. And I think it's going to become like Hemplucid. We're a cannabinoid company, but in the future, we're probably going to be somewhat of like a compounding pharmacy in a way where, and again, we're going to need a lot more research. And I mean, this industry needs research really bad.
But we also need research on like, what if we combine it with normal stuff? What if we combine it with a normal daily vitamin?
Right.
Right. Like, what about the supplement industry that can benefit cannabinoid medicine instead of just focusing on one silo?
Yep. It's fun because we're doing that. So we brought on some master herbalists and they're taking functional mushrooms and herbs and CBD, and we're making like a whole new product line where they all three work together.
Can you talk about that? Like, is it out?
Not yet. We're trying to have it out before Black Friday, but it'll definitely be out before the end of the year.
So it's like a multivitamin, like a pill or something?
Yep, capsules.
Okay.
It's
Capsules that include other plants.
Yes. And
Fungi.
Yep.
Mushrooms are a hot item too, man. People are getting
There is coming. Okay, that's a whole nother, like, we got to have you back when you release that, because mushrooms are on the verge of like really taking off.
Yeah, they're the next, I think they're the next big thing in the supplement industry.
Isn't there like a mushroom coffee or something like that? Like
is?
lion's mane or something? Is that what that is? Like a mushroom? I've never had it.
It's called mud water.
Yeah, mud water.
So you strain the water through the like mushroom grindings?
No, so
that sounds disgusting.
They take just functional mushrooms and then some other herbals, and then it's kind of like a protein powder in a way.
I think mud water is just the name of the brand, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that sounds
like,
kind of a lot more brutal.
It does sound like you're about to make mud water.
It looks like mud. We have a couple people at the office that drink it.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay,
it's a really
does it
good
taste?
product.
I
want to try it.
love coffee. I'm addicted to coffee.
I love coffee too.
I love coffee.
For sure.
I can't, anything that like fights my ability to drink coffee. I almost
Don't take
like
away my coffee.
I want to just nope.
Okay.
It won't work. I can't drink it.
I'm there with you. I was on the bulletproof coffee for 7 years straight, every day religiously. And in preparation for my ayahuasca trip that I went down to Peru for, you can't have coffee. And it's like a month before you go, you're down to very limited chicken, rice, beans.
They just clean you out.
Complete. And I haven't had coffee since I've been back. So, which is kind of weird to me.
No coffee or no caffeine? Just
pretty much.
No, it's not weird. I mean, ayahuasca it's all the way, right? It is all the way.
It's all the way.
Yeah, I haven't done it. I'm scared to death of it. Maybe before the end. I think it'd be interesting.
If you need a place to go, let me know. I'm kind of in this ayahuasca community.
we've met a few people who've participated, gone to Costa Rica
I don't know what
or
this is.
something.
What is? I'm unfamiliar. Share a little bit.
Ayahuasca?
Yeah.
It's a brew.
Okay.
So it's a 5-MeO inhibitor and then DMT.
Okay.
So
it's DMT that lasts, like DMT is a 15-minute in and out, right?
Correct.
Like, so ayahuasca is a long trip.
Yeah, you're 4 or 5 hours in.
This is completely illegal, by the
so
way.
it's like
We
a
do not recommend you do this
like
in
a
any
peyote
form
type
or
trip
case.
or something.
Yeah, so it is illegal in the U.S. Places that, Costa Rica, Mexico, Peru. I've been to Peru twice. But it is a psychedelic brew that is...
Revelations, stuff comes to you're able to see.
I've understood. I mean, it's been told to me, like, there is nowhere to hide, right? It's all the good, all the bad, everything. It doesn't matter what it is. You can't.
Yep. There's nothing you can't hide. And it's such an amazing, powerful medicine because it strips away trauma of your entire existence. And then, like, not only your existence, but then when you start really getting into it, then all of a sudden you're working with generational trauma and epigenetic trauma from your parents, from your grandparents, because we're all linked through DNA.
Okay.
And that's kind of deeper down the road and kind of, I don't want to get too deep, like woo woo, but it's very good for healing your traumas.
Sounds like something I need to try, man. Like,
but it's an entirely new perspective, right?
Entirely new.
Is it like ketamine? Like there's ketamine clinics I know here in Salt Lake, right? So that you kind of go do these
right
trips, so to say.
Yeah,
similar like pathways, similar neural pathways, but not as intense with ketamine.
Yep. And ayahuasca, you typically do it with a shaman, and shamanism is just an incredible, unbelievable. I mean, when you look through the course of human history, each culture, each tribe has their medicine person, they have their shaman, because the shaman is the doctor. And, when you get down into Costa Rica and Peru, the shamans are the doctor. Anytime there's an issue that somebody has, they go to the shaman, and it's such an intimate, personal experience because you drink ayahuasca together, and then the shaman sings Icaros to you, these healing songs. And these healing songs, frequency, vibration, it's what this whole reality is made of, energy, frequency, vibration. And the shamans get into this frequency where they're singing to you and they're breaking up trauma within your body that you're able to then get out of your body.
Okay.
So you purge, and it is it's one of the coolest experiences I think you can have as a human being, is to sit in front of a shaman under ayahuasca and have them pull trauma out of your body. And you can see it and you can feel it.
Really?
And you know what they're pulling out.
Is this multiple experiences that you need to have to really be effective, or is this like a one-time thing, or what?
So the center that I go to, they recommend nothing less than 10 days. So about a week and a half. And then they have months, or you can stay down there for a year and diet and just work on your traumas. And it was very beneficial for me. Like in my last journey, I had some like sexual abuse when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Didn't know, but it showed me and just pinpointed, like, this thing happened to you, and then it sent your life path on kind of a, not on quite on the path, but kind of off the path. And in regards to like the way that, like, my relationships and the way I interact with women, and how come I have such a hard time trusting women. And so, like, all these things that I was like, this is weird. Like, why can't I get this right? And it all pinpointed to, like, boom, this moment.
Really?
And so once you have that perspective and that clarity and the understanding, then you can start to re-navigate, like, your ship and integrate that experience. And
so it's helped you in life then. I mean, you definitely have noticed a difference since you've experienced this.
absolutely.
Okay.
It's a complete, it's a complete mind, body, soul upgrade. And it brings,
Let's go to Costa Rica, Tim.
No, Costa Rica, Peru. A friend of mine went to Costa Rica for 4 days, and it's the same. Like it is a lot of the same things that you're saying. Is like just this ability to reset.
right?
Take the Nintendo game out, blow on it a few times, hit the reset button,
totally
put it back in, and boom. And now there is some really great research here in the US going on, not with ayahuasca, but with psychedelics and psilocybin specifically. That's fascinating. That really would take, I can't wait till they get a little more here because this is smokers, people with PTSD, really bad trauma, just being able to reset that connection and get a different perspective. It's why ketamine clinics are really popular too. I mean, some people really, really like that. Ketamine, I don't know enough about those treatments to really speak to it. But yeah, this whole movement, and it seems like cannabis is just us walking over the threshold, right? Being willing as a society, as a US culture,
Correct.
to like, okay, we're going to walk through this door. We're going to just take one step, but there's a whole world on the other side.
Oh my gosh. It's
of
cannabis,
plant medicine, right?
Cannabis is like the gateway drug to this whole other paradigm and reality of psilocybin mushrooms, ketamine, like just, it's the healing path. So it's once you start the healing path, then it's like, cool, cannabis, CBD. And then it's like ayahuasca or
there are
ketamine.
Some people right now who will listen to this who will be like, yeah, you've basically told me this is about the nightmare scenario. The cannabis it's not the gateway drug to these things, right? To heroin and meth. It's the gateway to this whole different paradigm that some people are going to fight tooth and nail.
Gateway to a new world.
For sure.
But it is giving people permission to think differently about medicine.
Yes.
That's what cannabis does.
Correct. Yep. And the ketamine, I have a mental health protocol where I offer ketamine treatments to all of our employees once a quarter. I think
just like as a perk.
Yep.
Oh man, I got to come work for you guys then.
Yeah, ketamine is man. I think that's the next revolution in mental health because it bridges the gap between Western culture and the psychedelic world.
Yes, because it's a medication I can prescribe,
correct.
Right? Like I can prescribe it, I can administer it,
right.
I can monitor it, like right here on Sunday.
Yep. You're in and out, and just I like ketamine. It's a very valuable tool. I use it in a very specific way. With we work with Dr. Reed at Cedar Psychiatry.
Who did you? Because I talked to a ketamine doctor on my other podcast. I'm in Salt Lake once. I forgot his name. Where is he? Is he in Salt Lake here, or where is he at? It's down in Provo.
Yes, so their main office is in Springville.
Okay.
They just opened up another clinic here in Sandy.
Yeah, I don't think that was him. That I talked to.
Yeah, Cedar Psychiatry, they were purchased by Novamind, but great. Dr. Reed and what Novamind is doing, just great, fantastic work. Writing the ketamine protocols for MAPS. Starting the psilocybin. I think he's doing some psilocybin research here in the state of Utah. So Dr. Reed is in my opinion, I think he's one of the most cutting edge psychedelic doctor researchers in the whole country.
Okay, I'll have to look him up. Ketamine fascinates me. I haven't tried it yet. I'd like to, I think. Yeah,
it's great. It's such a cool experience. It works on the default mode network of the brain. So like the default mode network, I think it's called the lateral habenula, where like stress and anxiety and it like clogs up this section of the brain. So when you have ketamine, it feels like it's cutting the energetic ties of your trauma, your emotion, of anxiety, depression, PTSD. It just completely blows all that out and removes the emotional connection to those memories. So you can look at those memories and go, oh yeah, yeah, that wasn't as bad because it removes the emotional connection to it. And it also promotes neurogenesis, brain growth 48 hours after, as your body is metabolizing it. You're actually growing new neural networks, new neural pathways. It's great for addiction because you're creating new networks and new pathways. So you can start just a different lifestyle.
Very cool.
Yeah, cool.
So much to talk about.
Yeah, my mind is full.
Let's talk about some Hemplucid products really quick here.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few in
base,
for sure.
Let listeners know about all the products you guys make in case they're not familiar. I mean, the best, go to hemplucid.com probably for all of it. But
so we have multiple lines. So we have our full plant, our broad spectrum, or whole plant, full spectrum lines. And then we have a broad spectrum line, which is no THC or THC free. So the ones that you're holding are full spectrum, whole plant products. And we have the MCT oil, we have a hemp seed oil, and then our flagship product is the water soluble. And then we also make gummies, topicals. We're getting into some new products this year. So the company is actually going through a whole just revamp, and we're going to offer a bunch of new products at the beginning of next year.
The gummy cubes, by the way, are great for like if you have insomnia and need a good night's sleep, chew on a couple of those before you go to bed, man.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're 25 milligrams per gummy, 750 milligrams in this bottle, which is a lot. I love CBD. They're good for people, especially in combination with your THC products, right?
Yes.
Load up, take a slug of CBD in the morning, take a slug in the middle of the day, and then use THC as needed, right, with your medical card. And you're going to have less, I call it, I explain it like it smooths out the rough edges of the THC.
Yes.
And
that's a great way to put it.
It just kind of just simplifies it, right? We're just going to smooth the rough edges out. You're not going to be as paranoid if you get a high THC dose. It's going to calm that psychoactivity a little bit. For some people, it really calms it down a lot. And frankly, it makes THC work better, right? The plant was made to consume all its own. But a lot of people, especially in Utah, don't want to inhale, right? They don't want to inhale the plant. So these type of products are really great. And for people who want to they just want to tiptoe through the door, these are perfect products to try. Right? Try 25 milligrams of CBD. See how it works. See if it's enough. For some people, it's plenty.
Yeah, first-time users with the gummies, we tell people, like, you just start with half.
Yeah.
Just start with half and go from there.
I'm over here. Yeah, pop a couple in your mouth before you go to... I forget that I'm a heavier user.
Your tolerance is already a little high for cannabinoids. And then the Delta 8 products. I'm glad we talked about that a little bit from your perspective, because it's good to get everybody's perspective. It is definitely not a cut and dry thing on like what to do. What's the right move? There's an article Mindy Medeo wrote in the Salt Lake City magazine. There's been Blake Smith with Zion has talked about it a little bit on the podcast. We deal with it a lot. I recommend Delta 8 to my patients who have, they're concerned about getting too high, but they have a lot of physical pain. And Delta 8 seems to be a good choice.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
feedback we've heard.
GI issues too. There's a lot more receptors in the gut for the CB2 receptors and those peripheral receptors. So Delta 8 tends to absorb more peripherally. And for people with GI issues, Delta 8 seems to work really, really well.
Now, do you have like Delta 8 gummies or anything, or is it just the vape pen that you guys have?
We do 3 different kinds of gummies. So we have 5 total Delta 8 products.
Okay.
So 2 vapes and then 3 gummies. But we're not selling the gummies online right now. It's just our wholesale and distribution channels.
So where can you get the gummies anywhere here in Utah, or is it all just out of it? Yeah.
You'd essentially say no.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you did, it would be through some weird channel that had to go out of state and back into state. And they're shipping it to you when they probably shouldn't. And
we talked earlier, about Delta 8 and how it's hurting businesses. Even some of our stores in Utah, it's It's very unfortunate because I think they put in like an emergency act to ban Delta 8. And one of the things they were talking about is it's not going to hurt local business. And it's just like, I don't know where some of these people are getting their information from, but I mean, the amount of Delta 8 that we have moved out of state is
astronomical,
obnoxious.
I bet. Yeah.
And there's a demand, like you were saying.
I mean, it's super strong. I've taken 20 milligrams Delta 8 and it's no joke. I mean, I don't have a very high tolerance to THC or cannabinoids in general, but yeah, I mean, it's legit.
Mm-hmm. It's a real
you're
product.
definitely gonna feel it 100%.
Yeah, Delta 8 or Delta 10 is coming out now. There's a bunch of Delta 10 products starting to hit the market, and that's a very interesting effect. It's very euphoric and not as strong as Delta 9.
Again, back to the Farm Bill where it says Delta 9, right? So Delta 10 is in that same category.
Yeah, there's a huge wave coming that I don't see how legislation and I don't see how they can keep up, because as we start to figure out these new cannabinoids and, you know, there's not laws specifically for these individual cannabinoids, they're going to hit the market, and then lawmakers and the medical marijuana industry is going to try to scramble to try to corral. I mean, it is about to get so wild in the both of our industries.
Oh yeah, cannabinoids.
Oh,
it's going to be wild. And the fact that the feds can't get their shit together and like fix this, it's just going to be compounded over the next year, 2 years. And it happens fast. This is so American, right? That we'll like dial into the law and we're like,
totally.
Okay, Delta 9. So it doesn't say Delta 10. So the attorneys are good. Right. My attorney says go. And then every state has to deal with it separately. It's very, very.
Do you run into that? I mean, that kind of makes me think of a question like that would be frustrating to be in the industry like yours, Chase, where you probably come out with packaging, you spend all this money, and then boom, be told you can't do that.
Yep.
And then you just lost all that money.
Yep. Nope. It's happened to us.
Bunch of times, it sounds like already.
Bunch of times, and it's still happening today. I mean, it's...
So how do you not get all like depressed and say, screw it all, man? I would just want to throw the towel in, man.
Because I feel like the revolution is here. You know, there's a revolution happening.
I like that attitude,
and
man.
We're in a war for people's health and people's consciousness. And the other side isn't just going to roll over and go away. So there's people like me and other companies and you guys, you know, all this stuff helps. And it's just a mission that I'm on. So I expect it. Yeah, it's definitely going to get worse, but it's
also going to get better.
It'll definitely get better. Yeah. I think some clarity will come. I think, like you were saying, it'll finally hit a point where it's like, what are we doing, federal government, states? This is healing people and helping people, and you guys are trying to create laws to stop that or interfere with that. So we need a different way of doing things.
Okay, I'm back excited now. I started out this conversation, you know, in a different mindset, but now I'm back to excited. Let's go.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's probably so much we could talk about. I mean,
I really am interested in this whole nother product line when you get it going, you know, maybe November.
Okay.
Right. We need to talk about that because I'm excited about that. Functional mushrooms and joining cannabinoid products together. That's exciting.
Is there a product you were mentioning your gummy cubes, like to take a half a cube for people that maybe have a low tolerance that are starting? I mean, would that be a good place to start? Like, let's say a listener, somebody listening, they don't know where to start. I mean, where would be a good place for them to start with even a CBD product? Is there like a beginner one? I don't know.
So good place to start, the water soluble.
Okay.
That seems to be...
that's a good one.
That is our flagship product. It's very fast acting. So you can either take it underneath the tongue or you can drop it in 4 to 6 ounces of water, just like a full dropper. In 4 to 6 ounces of water, it'll dissolve, drink that. And people typically feel the onset of that within 5 to 10 minutes. So that one is our fastest acting product. The oils take about 45 minutes to an hour because that absorption is happening in the intestines. The water soluble happens out of the stomach. So probably the water soluble product or the cubes. I mean, those are a really good entry product. But if you are new to CBD, it seems like the edibles kind of hit a little bit harder than the tinctures do. So that's why we recommend, first time users or people just getting into the CBD industry, just try half.
And obviously these are all on your website, I guess. Yep. Hemplucid. Mm-hmm. Shops in Utah, I guess some places have them, huh?
Yeah, pretty much every health food store in Utah.
Whole Foods?
Except Whole Foods.
Except Whole Foods.
I would say not the big chains.
Okay.
But like the Sherlins, the Good Earths, there's a couple other stores we have. Kind of out of the loop on.
No, you're good. I was just wondering, some of our listeners are in the Salt Lake area, obviously. And so if they want to go pick some up today, right, when they're listening to this.
For sure. A lot of smoke shops, a lot of vape shops. So just call your local vape shop, smoke shop.
And saying if you don't have it, bring it in, right?
Bring it in, yeah. Support the local business.
Absolutely. Well, this has been great. Thanks for coming.
Anything you want to add, Chase, before we wrap this episode up? Anything you want to make sure we do talk about?
I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you for your guys' time. Thank you for what you're doing. I think this new form of media and like podcasting is, it's definitely the future. It's currently, but it's stuff like this really matters because it's real, it's long form. You can really get into like good discussion and it's not just 30-second to 1 minute sound bites off. And
TV. Nobody's censoring you either.
Nobody's censoring you. Yes. Correct.
And that's, I think, especially in this industry, that's what excites me about doing this podcast is that these stories wouldn't get out there otherwise. Mm-hmm. All the people that we've chatted with over this last year and a half that we've been doing this show.
That's right.
Even yourself. I'm sure you got advertising stipulations. Facebook throttles you. Instagram throttles you.
It's a nightmare.
You get a little bit more reach. Oh, no.
Yep.
You get a little bit more reach. Oh, no.
Yep.
Every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, the war's real and we're all fighting it together. So appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You're very welcome, man. And then to wrap up this episode of the podcast, make sure you're subscribed in any podcast app that you have. However you're listening to this, maybe you just discovered it, go hit that subscribe button because we have, right now we're every other week with a new episode. We're going to get back to every week.
Yep, that's coming up. Go to utahmarijuana.org/podcast. You can listen to any of the podcast episodes there, read the summaries. Check it out. Stay safe out there.